Hey, it's Karin. Welcome to this episode of A Touch of Genius, your place to get curious about your personal ingenuity and develop your potential. Together, we're going to discover how to break down and break through limitations so we can shine brighter. We'll find out how this helps us create a better life experience wherever we are and explore its far-reaching implications. We'll also be learning more about how someone else's touch of genius impacts us. Get your notebook and cookies ready, and let's dive into this episode. Hello, genius. I hope you're having a great summer wherever you are. Summer has always been one of my favorite seasons. I grew up by the water and with a stunning mountain backdrop. My summer holidays were filled with reading books, biking around, and being creative. I also enjoyed a fair amount of time at the pool and kicking a ball around on our street. Summer was my time to choose what I read, so that I could fill my mind with interesting stories. Whether it was The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, Charlotte's Web, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Black Beauty, or even My Family and Other Animals, I was delighted to read on any given hot summer afternoon. All of that reading time and the variety of books inspired me to write books myself. I fell in love with how each author was able to create worlds and tell stories that I could dive into, enjoy, and even learn something from. Childhood is the stage upon which we build our future self. We show up in this world with instincts that slowly get stifled by authoritative influences and established norms. Yet it's this early stage of our human development where we are our most abundant when it comes to creativity and resourcefulness. It's a world without filters until the filters start to take shape and form our behaviors, for good or otherwise. As we grow and take on certain beliefs and habits, these start to shape our access to that inner creativity and resourcefulness. We either stay open or we switch off. We may go through phases where we're open and closed again, and sometimes we close off for good. The last ones are usually the people who walk around like they have gray clouds hanging over their heads. According to Spanish artist Pablo Picasso, a genius in his own right, all children are born artists. The problem is how to continue being artists once they grow up. Picasso wasn't really alluding to how to make a living out of being an artist. What he was saying was that the innate creativity and artistic nature of children can be lost as they mature and face the pressures of society. However, we don't all have to be artists to warrant using our imagination or potential to create other things in our lives. When we look back on the last 200 years of our standardized Western educational system and how it has permeated other areas, we see that much of it was designed around factory workers' timeframes, which inevitably started to shape a societal structure around our sense of time and what we do with it. It also developed the next generation of factory workers as their children went to school during the same time. And it determined a certain focus on what children should put their minds to, effectively stifling creativity in millions of people who may have otherwise dedicated themselves to something else. I'm definitely not knocking education, as I'm a huge proponent of lifelong learning. However, when you start to see the state of the world and study human behavior and psychology, you begin to put pieces of the puzzle together. There have actually been studies that show exactly how much the educational system has been stifling our naturally creative minds. My chosen genius for today's episode is George Land, who was an author, speaker, consultant, and a general systems scientist. In the early 1960s, he founded a research and consulting institute to study how to enhance creative performance. This research led to the development of a theory of natural processes called transformation theory, which integrates principles of creativity, growth, and change. From these principles, Dr. Land developed unique strategic thinking and innovation processes for organizations. He passed away in 2016, but his work on transformation theory and creativity will no doubt continue to impact the world for many years to come. Among his articles and books is his seminal work, Grow or Die, the Unifying Principle of Transformation. He also co-authored the book Breakpoint Beyond, Mastering the Future, Today, with Dr. Beth Jarman. Together they conducted a research study to test the creativity of 1,600 children, ranging from 3 to 5 years old, who were enrolled in a Head Start program. This was the same creativity test Land devised for a certain space agency to help select innovative engineers and scientists. Since the assessment worked so well, he decided to try it on 5-year-old children. He retested the same children at 10 years and again at 15 years. The test looked at the ability to come up with new, different, and innovative ideas to problems. What percentage of those children do you think fell in the genius category of imagination? Let's find out. At 5 years old, 98% of the children fell into the genius category of imagination. When they tested the children again at 10 years old, only 30% of them fell into the genius category of imagination. When those same children were tested at 15 years old, the figure had dropped to 12%. When they were tested as 30-plus-year-old adults, this result dropped to 2%. Yep, 2%. What happened? Well, to simplify, we have two kinds of thinking, divergent and convergent. Divergent thinking is based on imagination. Divergence broadens and therefore allows for more viewpoints and perspectives, adjustments and changes. Convergent thinking is based on decisions and evaluation. Convergence focuses and tends to adhere to preconceived notions. Most 30-year-olds, therefore, have gone through the entire educational system, including university, so a lot of their divergent thinking will have been switched off somehow. As Dr. Land concluded, quote, "Non-creative behavior is learned," end of quote. Since then, this sort of test has been done on millions of people. So if you ever wonder why you don't feel your personal creative genius, it practically got schooled out of you. So please do not beat up on yourself. Unfortunately, and we've known this for quite some time, the educational systems have mostly been designed to generate some level of worker bee. However, you still have power over your own mind, which means you have power over your life. So, how do you change this? To exercise the creative part of your brain and awaken the genius within requires using your imagination. Go back to episode 2 of this show, You and Your Imagination, for additional references and ideas regarding imagination. We also know that one of the key nutrients for creativity is play. Most adults hardly partake in play unless they have children, but the way we play has also changed. And I don't just mean playing with toys or games. I mean engaging in a playful attitude towards things without being childish. Did you ever have a favorite plush animal when you were younger? Do you perhaps still have it boxed away somewhere? If so, I would encourage you to find it and put it somewhere that you can see it every day. Let it speak to you and help you remember sweet childhood memories or fun adventures. Did you give it a voice back then? Would you give it a voice now? Go on, try it. You may feel awkward doing this, but I assure you it's one of the most enjoyable things you can do, especially if you have children. They will love it too. And if you don't have a plush animal, you can always ask to borrow one of your kids, or your oven mitts will do just as nicely as a hand puppet. By engaging your childlike spirit, or what we often refer to as your inner child, you can call upon that pure-hearted, curious, and intrepid adventurer that lives within you, just like the characters from the books I mentioned earlier, whose curiosity led them through all sorts of adventures and life lessons. Most of all, engaging with our inner child actually offers us a certain kind of wisdom that comes from the soul. We don't often hear that wisdom because we're so caught up trying to think our way through life, instead of listening to the whispers within. This is where plush animals can be an unexpected ally in helping us connect with our inner self. So, once you've got your plush companion, start having conversations with it. If you live by yourself, nobody needs to know. It's just you and your plush pal. Let your new friend show you what you have forgotten about yourself, especially when it comes to humor and laughter. I've used plush animals to work with children and adults, and, besides being a lot of fun, it's deeply insightful. Many child therapists use them as a means to help children disassociate from problems and trauma so that they can deal with these issues better. Children will often speak about their fears or problems through the plush animal, and they give us precious clues as to what they're experiencing. It's one of the many techniques that we use in this personal development world. You may not even need to take your child to a therapist if you sense something is up. Just pay closer attention to the conversations they have with their plush friends. You, as an adult, can do it too. It's a fun and innocent way of reconnecting with your inner child and your creative essence. Coming back to our childlike wonder. If you sit long enough with a small child who has not yet been duped into staring into a mobile device or TV screen, you will see how they start to resolve their own little problems in surprising ways. They will turn any regular object into any sort of toy or creative element. They will amicably resolve conflicts with their siblings or friends after they've had their little frustrated outbursts. They will find out how to put pieces of a puzzle together without any outside help, just because they keep trying and thinking their way through it. You just have to be curious and patient enough to stick around and observe them. Listen as they speak to their teddy bears. They often have the most fascinating conversations. At some point, we gave up accessing our inner child. We may have even been pushed into adult responsibilities sooner than other kids our age. We got boxed into class hours, school systems, and a certain selection of assignments only to be funneled into some career choice or another. Then there was a stigma, still is depending where you live or which circles you're in, that looks down on you if you didn't go to university or even finish school, even though you may have created your own successful and serviceful path in life. That's where you get to see where people's values stand and how they really see people. Never let anyone look down on you just because you didn't get the sort of education they may have had or even wished for themselves. The people who truly value what you have made or are making of your life will see through those things and see your effort, your commitment, and your authenticity. Those are the people who will be catching glimpses of your personal genius, and they will remind you of it. The rest are too busy preoccupying themselves with status and other things that probably have no real relevance to your life's purpose. So here's my invitation for you to free yourself of those thoughts if you've been having them. You are wonderful as you are, and pay attention to the people who really cheer you on. One of the other core ingredients of creativity is stretching boundaries of thought so we can expand our minds. If we didn't explore contrast, we wouldn't know. Bringing this to something more appealing to everyone, if you walk into a pastry shop, you may have to try different types of pastries to know which one you really like. After you've done that, are you going to judge or condemn the apple pie just because you end up loving the chocolate eclair? No, you just let the apple pie be and let others who love it enjoy it, whilst you enjoy your chocolate eclair. If we are able to do this more often with other aspects of our lives, we would all live with more peace, harmony, and respect, don't you think? If we want children to be able to think for themselves and become who they are meant to be, we need to accompany them with curiosity. But of course, if adults have tuned out of this level of interaction with their children and their personal interests and energy are dedicated elsewhere, then it's no wonder this sort of thing can slip through the cracks. It's not up to schools to pick up the slack and do everything either. This level of parental interaction requires commitment and dedication to help our children know how to think for themselves, explore freely and safely, and how to understand different nuances of culture and society as they grow up, so they can form their own view of the world and not just copy someone else's because they are somehow being told to do so. The last time I checked, that was called indoctrination, wasn't it? Let's not be lazy about educating children, or ourselves, and skip over stuff just to avoid looking deeper within ourselves or at the issues that cause friction between us. Let's pave the way back to our creative strengths so that we can all feel more fulfilled. If we bring this back to the idea of developing our personal genius, then it's important that we allow children to explore, question, and create so that they can become independently thinking adults who use informed discernment to determine their actions and behaviors. There's also something called critical feeling, which is about developing emotional intelligence. Critical feeling is the strategic use of emotions to optimize outcomes, just like critical thinking is the strategic use of one's reasoning capacities. For example, imagine you need to fly overseas to go see a relative in hospital, but you have a fear or discomfort around flying. At first, you may feel panic at the thought of getting on a plane, but when you feel into how happy and relieved you will feel at being able to see your relative, then you can navigate your way out of that initial panic to achieve your objective of flying overseas to be with them. This is critical feeling at play. Once again, to live into our personal genius, we need to have mental and emotional freedom to explore. Children need to have the mental space to breathe and not feel shame around their thoughts or feelings as they gather and sort what's what. It's important that they allow their own ideas to start taking shape, and as their guides, we get to help them understand ethics, morality, and values, which will help shape their current and future behaviors, which will shape our future outcomes and creations as a society. As we accompany them, we help ourselves tune back into that pure essence. To help you wake up your personal genius, who is also your inner child, I have another genius little exercise for you. Since we're in the middle of summer, it's the perfect time to get playful and creative. This is a closed eyes exercise, so it's best done when you're by yourself and not driving or handling anything. Get comfortable and switch off any notifications on your phone so you don't get distracted while you're doing this. Now, go ahead and close your eyes. Take a nice long deep breath in through your nose and then release it slowly through your mouth. Take another long deep breath in through your nose and release it again slowly through your mouth. Now, I want you to go back to a time in your childhood when you felt the most free to be yourself, when you could feel that pure childlike wonder. Ask your unconscious mind to help you go back as early as you can and find some memory that made you feel this childlike wonder. If you have a hard time accessing any such memory, go ahead and turn the light up in your mind, as if you were turning up a dimmer light in a room. Or if you need to turn the volume up so you can hear better, go ahead and turn it up like you're turning up the radio. Now, once you get to that memory, observe what's happening and who is with you. What are you doing? Which emotions are present? Which thoughts are present? Now, taking the positive thoughts and emotions you're having, I want you to float up above yourself and fly out into now, passing through any events that stopped you from feeling that childlike wonder, and let those positive emotions and thoughts cover them like chocolate sprinkles falling in a freshly baked cake. Keep letting those positive emotions and thoughts flow through you and your memories up until now. Take as long as you need until you get to now. Go ahead and open your eyes and notice how you feel. Do you feel that childlike wonder? Do you feel lighter, more playful, more curious, more open? Now, close your eyes again. Float out into an unspecified time in your future when you might feel that you stop yourself from feeling childlike wonder, and let those positive emotions sprinkle over any events that will happen between then and now. When you're done, bring yourself back to now, open your eyes, and notice how you feel. Do you feel even lighter, more playful, more curious, more open? Do you smell a freshly baked cake? Just kidding. This was a simple exercise to help you access the good stuff in you that you may have forgotten and bring it up into your present consciousness. It will unfold as the days go by, and you may notice that you feel revitalized, more interested in things, and more driven to pick up on things you haven't done in a while that pleased you. Let me know how you get on and what you discover about yourself. And congratulations, you have reawakened the genius within you. Start getting used to letting your light shine. As always, thanks for being here, and I'll see you in the next episode. As we wrap up today's show, I want to thank you for listening to this podcast. It means a lot to me. You see, whenever we create something, we always take a leap of faith into the unknown, and we don't always know how it'll work out. That's part of what this podcast is about, encouraging all of us to take leaps of faith on our ideas, dreams, and creations, and having a safe space to explore them, to build the strength to get back up when we fall, and to celebrate when we fly high. I'd love to know what your big takeaway is from this episode. Tell me what you're working through and what you'd like to know more about. Also, is there someone you'd like me to interview on the topic of genius? Let me know. Email me at hello@karinpinter.com or message me on my socials. In the meantime, take care of your genius self.